Hey guys, it's Matt Fielder with MJF Guide Service giving you your September 2nd fishing report for Table Rock Lake. Guys, the weather has been awesome. Sorry about last week. I was extremely busy and just forgot to post a video. So a lot has happened in the last week and a quarter now. Just got home from today's trip. It's pretty good. This weather is just freaking awesome. So I can't say enough about it right now. But the fishing is still pretty solid. You do have to sometimes work for them right now. But there's a few more bites over the last couple weeks that have been coming into play more and more and more. I don't know, you always hear about that false fall and some of those things, but you can at least take advantage of some of those bites that are coming, because we can never predict whether the weather's going to stay like this or we're going to jump up and go hot again. So there's fall techniques that are coming into pattern, and there's still some summer stuff that's still happening right now. So lately, over the past week and a half, 2 weeks, the topwater bite is actually pretty solid for at least some solid fish. I've just been throwing a Sexy Dog Junior or a Spook Junior. I've been throwing white or like a translucent color as well, like a, with a kind of like a grayish back with like a yellow chartreuse stripe down the side. But this one is the white one I've been throwing this week. But that bite doesn't last very long, except for on some of these cloudier mornings. It seemed to have hung on a little bit more. But that bite typically, you need to be out there at 6:15 throwing that topwater, for the first 30, 40 minutes of the day. You can pick up some really nice ones. So just kind of, for me, it's been around a lot of cover. So if there's like a bush that may be in the water, some nice chunk-ish rock, that's been good for me. I'm sure there's been other places I just pull up to a spot that I think looks good, like a topwater type spot with a little bit of cover, some shade, and some nice rock that transitions out, that's got a little bit of deep water kind of near it. It doesn't need to be a vertical drop off, because they will get up on those flats, especially with these cooler days, for the topwater. Another bait that's been working for me in those same type of situations has been a glide bait. Either the Clutch Eco or whatever your, a KGB shad, like whatever your favorite one is, just pick it up, cover some water with it. You can scope around. You'll see them sitting out there in 10 foot of water, and you can just scope around and throw it past them and get some nice quality bites. I've seen a few, some pretty decent ones coming off of that. They are, all summered out, so they're a little lean, but you do catch some pretty quality, 3 to 5 pounders doing that. Another thing that I haven't done a ton of until this last week and a half is throwing a rock crawler. I've actually caught quite a few smallmouth shallow on a rock crawler. I've also caught some, in both rivers and Main Lake, meaning by the dam and Kimberling City even, like on a rock crawler, especially on those overcast days. I've been throwing the cellmate color as well as the nasty shad color. They are, to me, they've been biting the shad pattern better than a craw pattern, at least from what I've seen. So, your cellmates, your nasty shad, and even the bluegill pattern one, that's a translucent, but it's going to mimic a bluegill. So any of your shad or bluegill patterned rock crawlers have actually produced pretty good. I made a cast out with a buddy who came down to just fish with me after a trip, and he had a whole school of smallmouth following it in. So it was like they were tracking it, and we caught several along one stretch, and even with some clients, they're picking some up. One thing that I've actually been doing with the rock crawler is, if you have forward-facing sonar and you're like, man, I'm seeing these fish, they're not committing. I've thrown stuff at them, but they're not biting. One thing that I tried, over this past week and a half is actually throwing the rock crawler at some of those suspended fish and then getting a few of them to bite. I'm not saying the whole school is going to bite it. I just know that I've caught several, just suspending that crankbait, just reeling it quickly through those pods of fish and picking a few off here and there. So that's another little thing that you can put in your tool belt. I know that's not the way you're supposed to fish a rock crawler, but it works. I've still been throwing the football jig quite a bit too, and it's still producing. I wouldn't say it's producing at the capacity that it had been all summer, but it's still a really, really, really strong player. I've also been, kind of transitioning from just the football jig to more of a brush jig, and I'm catching a lot of fish on a brush jig. Now, you're going to have to fish a ton of brush piles. It's not like every brush pile you pull up to you're going to catch one out of, or load the boat every single brush pile you go to. You may have to hit 15, 20, 30 brush piles to get 5 really big bass if you're trying to tournament fish, or I know that high school tournament's coming up this upcoming weekend, guys. So make sure to go out and mark a bunch of piles. That's just plain and simple. You're going to do a lot of damage in brush piles. So pick you up a football jig, pick you up a custom cast lures, shaky head, throw your favorite worm, whatever it is that you like to throw on that shaky head, drag it through that brush, you're going to get bit. Another bait that's been a staple for the summer is still the drop shot. This is the Robo Worm, Morning Dawn color. Still working really well for me. Still catching quite a few fish on it, but more baits have come into play, a little bit different. I've even been pitching that drop shot up into some shallow areas, right outside bushes, little drop-offs that come out. It could be real shallow, then it, the bank has a little drop to it, and catching a lot of fish that way with the drop shot as well as that jig. Now, another bait, you'll see them on the bottom, and I'm like, man, they're not biting. Been throwing a Ned rig as well. Catching, just adding a couple more fish here and there, and by the end of the day, you have a really, really solid day. 20 plus fish, 20, 30 fish a day, if not more. So those are some baits that have been really working for me this week. Fishing's still pretty solid. You can add a few more things to your arsenal now and really have a really fun day of fishing. I know everybody loves a really good topwater bite, and you can go get a few really, really nice bites right now throwing a topwater, as well as that glide bait. The jig's still been awesome. One more thing that I've been throwing more is the Cast Echo. It's coming back into play for me a lot more than it has been most of the summer. Since the end of June, the Minnow Bite for me hasn't been that great, but with this transition, I'm seeing a lot of fish around, a lot of shad, and even those bottom fish, and brush fish, I'm throwing that minnow more now, and I'm getting more and more and more bites on it. So I wouldn't say it's like full blown, like, oh, you can only throw a minnow type of thing, but it's starting to pick up. So if you guys really like throwing a minnow, go get you the 3.5 Cast Echo, put it on a 1/4 ounce jig head. That's how I've been having my most success, because they still want a little bit of a quick fall. They're not that deep. You know, most of them I'm seeing 26 or 18 to 26 feet for the most part, kind of all over the lake. So I'm not saying there's not any deeper, because I have caught a few deeper than that. But for the most part, that 18 to 26 foot range has been really, really key for me. So thank you guys so much for watching this week. And, you know, get out there, catch you some fish, and hopefully you put a few big ones in the boat. So you can pick all this tackle up at modernoutdoortackle.com or stop in the shop. If you want to book a guide trip, MJF guide service, you can either text me, call me, or shoot me an email. I'd love to get you out on the water and have a good time. So good luck this week, guys, and we'll see you next week. Thank you.